don't see your handsome face yet.
I need an agenda real quick.
Of course, you don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want to. Are you ready for us to?
We are live.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I apologize to anybody watching for the slight delay. We were having some technical problems, but we have a quorum. So the regularly scheduled monthly meeting of the Fire District 4 Board of Commissioners is in order. Chris, would you be willing to kind of walk us through the preliminaries about why we're meeting by Zoom and the consent agenda and whatnot?
Okay, due to Governor Inslee's proclamation 20-28, District 4 is prohibited from providing a location for the public to attend this meeting. Members of the public will be able to hear the entire meeting via Zoom meeting.
Thank you. So the first item on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda. So Chris, once again, would you walk us through what the consent agenda consists of?
Yep, today we have the meeting minutes from July 16th, the staff reports, the financial reports, and the vouchers, the payroll voucher for $6,390.83, and the expenditure voucher for $7,013.81.
Thank you. So yeah, that was all distributed with plenty of time for the commissioners to review that. If there's not any questions or comments or anything that needs to be pulled out of the consent agenda, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt it.
Before we do that, I'd like to make a comment, please.
Please.
Looking at the detail of claims, payment, and requests, I show a payment of $2,220.80 to postcard mailer. Now, I assume that was for the multicolored brochure that was sent out advertising our election. I did not get one. No one in my neighborhood got one.
No.
I got a call from Dave Hansen yesterday, and he said no one in his neighborhood got one. So why are we paying these people $2,220?
That's
Wow.
the first I'd heard that nobody got one.
Yeah, that's not cool. Yeah, I had myself and the chief, we had a number of meetings with this consulting group, and of course it came up in the conversation that part of what we were paying them to do was canvass the addresses, and that was going to be something that they were going to take care of. It's really saddening and some very, very surprising to hear, Harry, that there may have been a portion of our customers that never got the flyer.
Yeah, so that's two areas. My area and Dave Hansen's area did not receive one. So why are we paying these people?
Let me follow up with Heather Logan and find out what happened. See if we can get a list of where they sent them to.
Yeah, it's Lewis Publishing Company.
Yep.
Yeah, Harry, that you kind of teed off a conversation that we're going to be having here under new business, because that's a question that I'm going to ask you and Steve about, because I've already been approached by the consulting group as to whether or not we want to follow up with them for the November levy lid ramp up. So I'm glad you brought it up. If you can kind of put the rest of those comments, on whether we do or don't, until we bring that up, I think we could have a discussion about that.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Fair.
However, I don't know that changes whether or not we're obligated to pay them for what they did do at this point, which is, part of the expense vouchers. Chris, but honoring what what Harry's bringing up, how would we do that? Would we, could we pull out an item and actually, not authorized to pay it until we sort it out? Or how would we deal with that administratively?
Yeah, we can pull out the invoice.
Okay.
Or we can run the check and just hold it.
Well, I don't know. Harry, Steve, do you have thoughts on whether we should, pay them what they've billed us so far, or if we need to follow up with that?
We need to follow up on that because there's no telling who else didn't get one of them. So it's a catch right here.
How do you feel about that, Steve?
I agree with Harry in that we definitely need to find out what happened. I believe my household got one. We're right on Britton Road. But certainly before we expend any more money with them, vis-a-vis the November election, I would totally support finding out, as the chief suggested, contacting them and having them provide us a list and maybe spot checking it and seeing that. As far as withholding payment, yeah, I think we should look at the invoice, and I don't know how itemized it was or is. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So Chris, it sounds like the consensus of the board here is to pull that, that voucher, that authorization to pay them for that out until we dig into what exactly we're paying for, and to make sure that what we are paying for actually happened. And that's what we need to do. So before we then approve the rest of the consent agenda, the understanding is that invoice is specifically being pulled out and not approved.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up, Harry.
Okay.
Agreed. Thank you, Harry.
Anything else on the consent agenda before we would entertain a motion to pass it? That's your cue, Harry.
Okay, I'll move that we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Thank you. So it was moved and seconded that the consent agenda be approved with the exception of what we had just discussed. Is there any other discussion on that?
None here.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So the motion carries. So under unfinished business, the levy lid lift, the August election results. Obviously, the election did not go as we had hoped. So we have some work there. Chief, did you have anything you wanted to add to kind of debriefing us on that?
I don't know that there's much more to say than we did not have a favorable outcome. The board had discussed prior to that we would go back to the voters. The plan was to go back to the voters in November and refine the message, whether it's find some, create a small focus group and find out what we can do better, a different way to tell the story. The bottom line is that the need is still there. And we just need to figure out how we can connect with the voter and help them to understand where the district is at financially and the best way for us to move forward.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, how about you? Did you have anything that you wanted to add on that particular item from your perspective?
No, only the items that are already sent out in the meeting packet, which showed detailed information on the precincts.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is costs are going up and our revenue is going down. So just to brief the other two commissioners, I did have an opportunity to meet with Jason, the chief, and Bruce Ansel, the chairman of the other board, a few days ago, and we sat down and sort of went over the disappointing results both for our district and District 21. And of course, what was on everybody's mind was the fact that we need to negotiate a new contract for services with District 21 in order for us to continue to provide services to our customers, because we don't have employees, we don't have firefighters, we don't have a fire department. All the services we provide are through the contract, and we need to be able to fund that contract to continue to provide services. So it's I don't think it's unreasonable to say that we're in dire circumstances if costs are going up and revenue is going down, in order to continue to provide our customers with the level of service that they've been getting through the current relationship. So yeah, so the other district, District 21, working with their attorney, they're going to start working on drafting the new contract. I don't know what those numbers are going to look like. I'm hopeful that it's drafted in such a way that we're going to be able to afford it. But I think that realistically, we also need to start thinking about, is there any way that we can cut our expenditures? I don't know where that would be, but we need to start thinking. I believe that if we get voted down again in November, yeah, it's not going to be a pretty picture. So anyway, that's just a little bit about that meeting I had with them. I wanted to bring you two up to speed. You know, we're going to start our budget cycle here in the next couple of months. So we're going to have some numbers to actually look at and project so that we can plan responsibly. All right, anybody else have anything, Harry or Steve, on the levy lid lift, the August election results?
Well, I have one other comment. Dave Hanson said he is volunteering to help us in any way that we can use him for the new election in December. He also said part of his businesses that he deals with was dealing with a lot of people that live down along the lake in our district. And every one of them said that we were asking for too much, and that's why they voted against it. When you were speaking with 21, did you discuss anything at all about maybe not asking for $1.45 and go back to $1.30 or something like that?
You know, not specifically for our district alone. We did have a general conversation about, if we get to the RFA, once we get to the RFA process again, that, you know, the numbers haven't changed, and it would be 145 for the entire RFA, which of course would include our area as well. So, I mean, these were just general framework discussions. It's just the numbers haven't changed. The costs have stayed the same. They're projected to continue to rise, the labor costs. So I don't know that anybody is having a serious conversation about reducing the ask, because that's just the way the numbers work out.
So Commissioner Andrews, just I understand that it is a big number, a big lift, right? We use the word lift. But when you go back and this is one of the things I think we didn't do a great job of telling the story. If you go back and look at the rate of rise in the district's tax revenue over the years, and I'm just going to use District 21 as an example, because those are the firm numbers I have. if you look at the rise of District 21, and you can extrapolate this to District 4 just as easy, even more so because of how low the levy rate is. The rise of the budget and the rise of inflation, District 21 has only seen over the last 12 years, a 3% raise in its overall budget when you look at it against inflation. And if you add this year in it, it's going to be a negative 2% because the cost of living went up 5%. So that's what we need to figure out, is how to tell the voter that side of thing, that look, you're getting an increased level of service over what it was X number of years ago for less money that it should be costing. And we can't stretch that anymore. And I know that there's going to be a certain segment of the population that always votes no against tax increases. What we're looking for is that what we're hoping for is support in that group that will look at the story like in that way. We just have to figure out how to put that on a piece of paper and get it to the right homes, which apparently didn't happen this last time. Or get it out via social media, or get it out through a doorbelling campaign or phone calls, whatever. But we just have to be able to paint this picture, the true picture of what has happened to the district's finances in all these years of not raising it. And that's the $1 million question. So I understand that it's a large lift, but it's because we've waited too long.
Right, look at District 4. Other than the EMS levy, we haven't asked for a lift for what, 27 years, something like
Right.
that. And that ought to be something we could bring out to the public.
Well, we did. Unfortunately, it was spelled out in that flyer you never got. We definitely highlighted that.
Yeah, Lewis Publishing didn't help us at all.
Yeah.
No, I would echo what the chief said, and particularly in his memo that he wrote to us about the issue. Looking at the numbers both for, I'm on the election website, and looking for the numbers both for our district and District 21. I'm not a statistical expert, of course, none of us are, but this really does strike me as a communication issue. We only lost by a couple hundred votes in our district, and it looks like by a similar proportion in 21 because it's just a larger district. So I think it's time for a full court press, on getting the information out there. And I'm happy to be of assistance with that. My mind goes to things like recording a YouTube video that explains it. I mean, we need to hit multiple outlets where people can get that information. Not, flyer was good, but I think we need to do a lot more. So count me in to help out with that, and on whoever's going to lead that effort.
And there was a bit of a grassroots effort from a couple citizens, and that's where you see in the precincts that won, that's where they spent their time.
Yeah.
So it's getting out there, getting the word out. Hopefully we'll see more support from more grassroots support. I think one thing that is good is that a pro statement was submitted on behalf of the district for the voters pamphlet. So there's something that we didn't have last time. So I think people in the district that are concerned about it now feel even more pressed, beyond just the commissioners and staff. So I'm hoping for a better turnout this time. I think voter turnout had something to do with it. I think, it being August of the first year people were released from their homes had something to do with it. I wonder how many, I can't help but wonder how many ballots were found on kitchen counters when people got back from a camping trip or from vacation. So we'll just have to redouble the efforts for November, work harder.
Yeah. Good. No, and it's our job to just get the information out. And like, it sounds like the general consensus is in full agreement. We just need to work harder at getting the information out so that our customers can just make more informed decisions. Yeah. All right, well, good. If there's nothing else on that, maybe we could move on to new business. Chris, right before the meeting, you and I we came up with a couple of things. Can you remind me what the first one's going to be? And we can.
Oh, you're muted, Chris.
Sorry. One thing that I had as a reminder on my calendar from the beginning of the year was to monitor the transport revenue. District received a credit of $134,000 towards the quarterly payment. And I got the last report yesterday, and so far the revenue is already up at $159,175.25. So
Okay.
received more than credit was given, and I had that on my calendar just to monitor.
Okay. So then, I mean, explain to me, if something like this takes board action, would there be a recommendation from either you or the chief on how we should handle this?
We never had this before, so this was something that kind of happened last year as we looked at all the numbers. I'm sure Jason will remember. And so I had it as on a reminder from also the previous chair to keep an eye on the revenue numbers, and if they exceed the credit amount. So
I went back and reviewed the ILA and how it talks about Exhibit A is what talks about transport fees. And unfortunately, the last time it was truly updated was 2015. But it does say that District 4 revenue generated from transport fees and rental fees will be credited towards the contracted amount. What it doesn't say is, when do we credit it? Do we credit in this year or do we credit in next year? My recommendation would be to credit in next year. The payment is set, your budget is set for this year, and that next year we take that amount and increase the credit amount for the following year. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Not only does it make sense, but it seems to kind of be timely if we're going to be begging and borrowing and stealing to pay for a new contract. It'd be nice to have even a little bit
Right.
that we didn't anticipate having. I mean, I'm just spitballing, but makes sense to me.
I would think that we're looking towards, I believe the transport revenue is going to eclipse 200K this year, which will be a significant contribution towards next year's overall payment. So that would be my recommendation, but obviously it's up to the board to decide what they want to do with that number. I guess the bottom line is that the ILA does not tell us exactly what to do.
What would be any reasons that we would want to do it this year rather than next year? I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree with Mark that it makes sense, but is there an argument for doing it the other way? Or
well, I guess I would say the argument against doing it this year is it would be piecemeal, and it's going to maybe not harder to account for, just more complicated in my simple brain, because we would be doing a partial credit for, the next payment is due October 30. So we credit you for, 135 and over up to what we have reconciled on October 30th. And then there would be a partial credit for next year plus anticipated, you know what I mean? It's just like, to me, it seems wonky. Commissioner Land, you've been on other boards. Commissioner Andrews, you've got a lot of experience here. What would you say would be the simplest way and most transparent way to do that, to deal with that?
Well, I like your opinion on that, even though the note we got from Chris said we have two options that we have to discuss.
That I suggested. If you have any other options, those are just the two I could think of.
But I agree with the chief that probably is our best way to go on this.
Yeah, and in cases like this, what I've learned is to rely on the experts. And so if Jason, that's kind of your suggestion and works best for you as our chief. And if Chris can't think of a reason not to do it, it makes sense that we do hold it over.
Sounds good.
Well, let's, because it involves money and something that's maybe outside the contract, maybe we could formalize that in a motion. So Chris, what's the number that we would word in the motion?
What we received so far, you mean, or the budget?
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm just wanting, if it's going to take board action to do something with money that isn't covered in the contract, I would suggest that our motion be fairly clear and specific. So
every amount over $134,000.
Okay. So I guess if one of you is comfortable in moving that we apply this credit, whatever ends up being over 134,000 towards next year's payment. Jason and Chris, is that consistent with what we need to do to give you the authority to do that?
Yep, sounds good
Yeah.
to me.
Yep, it's clear. It's clear. It's more clear than what we have in Appendix A.
Yeah, okay.
So moved.
So seconded.
So it was moved and seconded that monies over 134,000 generated by the transport revenue be held and then applied towards our payment next year. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, thank you for bringing that up, Chris. What was the other new item?
The other item we had was Karen Reed.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this just kind of goes back, Harry, to what you had brought up, made us all aware of and highlighted the consultants, because I've been approached by her earlier in the week or late last week. They've reached out to me to continue discussions on what the strategy will be for the next levy lid lift, public outreach or campaign, whatever you want to call it. And I told her that I would need to wait to talk to the board and then, follow the board's recommendation and guidance on if you guys want me to continue to be that person and meet with them and basically ramp up our PR outreach leading up to this November's election.
I have a question. Was she responsible for creating the postcard that was mailed out? Because that was excellent. Covered everything.
Yeah. I mean, Jason, you work with them a lot more than I do as far as who on that team does what. What I would say, Harry, is they have a team, and there's a lot of going back and forth and reading drafts and content, and we had our attorney look it over. But if you're asking specifically, Jason, are you able to answer his question?
So the designer is someone that works for Chris Fawcett from Lund Fawcett, who's the kind of the main PR person. Karen's role is Karen looks at things from a kind of the position that a commissioner would, or an administrator would. Her focus, she's a former attorney, and she looks at things from a legal perspective, as well as a getting the story out perspective. And Heather Logan is the third part of the comms group, and she is the one that has the relationships and gets the ads in the paper and sets up all the the Zoom meetings, and as well has run. All three of them actually admitted to me this is the first election that they have lost. So they're kind of on their heels as far as they're they're pretty committed. If you still want them, they're pretty focused on getting this in a win column. They're so that is each of their role. They each kind of have specialties in what they do, but the pamphlet came from Lund Fawcett, who wrote that.
I think, like I said before, that was an excellent pamphlet, but I don't think that many of us got it.
Right.
And somebody has got to choose whether we're going to use this Lewis Publishing Company again for the December election, or just find somebody that's better. But that brochure was excellent, and it covered all the subjects very well. And I'd like to see something like that again.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, what issue are we discussing now? Is it about that specific person, or what's?
Yeah, so I guess essentially what I'm looking for here is some guidance from the two of you on whether or not you would want me to, have another meeting to essentially, we've hit the reset button, and I know that District 21, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but 21 is going to continue to work with them to ramp up for
That'll be my
November.
recommendation to the board. Yes, that we continue to work with them.
And they want to work with us. They don't want, probably this loss on their record. But I told her that I wasn't going to commit to anything until you two gave me some guidance. I personally think that it would be worth continuing to work with them. I think they're clearly professional. They put out a good product. I'm going to ask them some hard questions if I do meet with them again about why the postcard didn't get to everybody that we had assumed it would. But yeah, so Steve, that's I guess what's before us is if you want to continue that relationship, and if so, I'll start meeting with them again and in planning our PR outreach for November.
Is there a way that we could ask them to present to us somehow, perhaps in a meeting or something, where they just kind of review briefly what they did for us and what the results were, as kind of a wrapper back around to what Harry was suggesting? So we, all three of us and all of us here, can be on the same page as far as what was done, what actually happened, and then, because I would think we would need that information before we can say, then, okay, yes, absolutely, we're going to continue. I would appreciate that. I don't know how the mechanics of that would work like this.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And yeah, that's very easily accomplished. I just invite them. Now, the downside is we'd be losing a month of work because our next, it would be at our next public meeting, which is a month from now.
We could do a special meeting if that.
That's what I was
work.
wondering. Is there a way we can do something sooner?
Yeah, no, for sure. We can call a special meeting. I guess we would just need to pick a spot on the calendar and make sure that it works for everybody, including them. So Chris, you and Jason typically help try to schedule special meetings. Is the best way to try to do that, offline and start making inquiries, with them as well?
Yeah, I assume that Jason sends out the Zoom invitation and people can respond yes or no. Or you also have another tool, I think, for meeting invitations that you used in the past, where you can give separate dates and people can check off. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, and then we just need to give Chris enough opportunity to make sure that it's published so that we comply with open public meetings rules.
Yeah,
okay.
I wonder if we could include, we could just kind of get all the birds with one stone in that meeting. And maybe they could not only review what they did and what the results were, but then perhaps what their proposal is for how we move forward.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Harry, does that sound like something you'd want to do?
Yeah, I'm available for anything like that at all. And because they did such a good job, I'd ask them to work on it again, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but we do have some questions that need answered. All right, should we just spitballing here, should we try to Jason and Chris and everybody, should we try to see if we can schedule this within the next 2 weeks? Is
Yes.
that a reasonable thing?
I will
Okay.
work with them. Chris, as long as you're available, I will work with them.
Yeah, I'm planned to take vacation 2 days next week, so, but I don't know exactly until Sunday which days.
Okay.
I also am going to plan to not be in the office at least a few days next week. So
Yeah,
it
okay.
would be most likely the week after.
Okay,
Okay.
And that would work
Yep.
best. For me. So good.
all right, well, sounds good. That, yeah, great way to approach that, so that we all get the benefit of the same information as well as hearing them explain maybe their perspective on what did or didn't happen. So, all right, so yeah, let's try to do that within the next couple of weeks when it works for everybody. Chris, was there any other new business that we had come up with?
No, I think that was it for today.
Okay, if there's no other new business, we'll go to the next item on the agenda, which is correspondence, and I'm seeing that there's none.
Nope.
Or do we have any announcements?
I don't have anything. Just the next board meeting, September 13th.
Yeah, let's everybody just double check. Oh, is that a Monday? That is a Monday.
A Monday, yes.
So, okay, I'm gonna be down in Palo Alto, moving my kid into Stanford that week. So, but of course, the luxury of Zoom is, I guess I can join from anywhere. So I'll just hope, and if I'm on the road, we'll just pull over and I'll have a meeting in the car. But just giving you all a heads up, if for some reason I'm late to the meeting or something, Harry or Steve, I guess it'd be Harry. Harry, are you officially the vice chairman?
Yes.
I'm in charge of vice. That's correct.
Okay, so then just be prepared if yours truly doesn't show up, because you might have to drive the meeting.
No problem.
All right. Anything else? Anybody have anything before we adjourn?
Harry and Steve need to stop by the office this afternoon to sign the vouchers.
You.
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Nothing for me.
So we're going to pick a date an actual date for the special meeting.
I'm going to query them, sir, and I will send out a few possibilities that I get, and we'll make it align with your schedule.
Good. I'm fine with any date probably. And of course, they're the ones that are going to have to schedule their program. So that's good.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for all the work you put into making this meeting happen, especially Chief and Chris. And if there's nothing else, we are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.